Hi, it's me, Annalisa, with my spiritual friend. I am back and this is for a spiritual manifesting chat. I wanted to explain some concepts, how they interconnect, the concept of everyone is you pushed out, or mirroring is another way of looking at it. And then sort of like kind of break it down in the way my brain looks at it and the way my guide sort of showed me the interconnecting of the other idea of we are all one. I am a psychic medium. I am certified as a psychic medium, as a seance conductor, as an energy healer, and I'm also an ordained reverend in the Spiritualist Church. So those are my qualifications for talking about all things spiritual. I have been studying the idea of the law of attraction for 20 years. By no means do I think I have all of the answers, but I have tried a lot of different techniques. And I never say this is the best because I think we all have different learning styles. But I can tell you my experiences with them and the tips and tricks that work for me and why they work, and sort of share with you how my brain works and discovers the world and whatever. And this is sort of my passion, to talk about all things spiritual. So I wanted to talk about the idea of everyone is you pushed out, because I've talked a little bit about the idea of collective beliefs. Good morning, Rose. The idea of collective beliefs and how they shape or create our own patterns of even though we've changed, maybe worked on our self-concept, of how collective beliefs continue to reinforce these old beliefs about self-worth, etc. So the idea of everyone is you pushed out. It doesn't mean that everybody is a little avatar of you and you're controlling everyone. We are not taking over anybody's free will or power. It also is sort of along the lines of, when I was a nurse in the ER for a very short period of 9 months, I am not an ER nurse. I am too sensitive to other energies. It's too chaotic. And I like continuity of care. So I like knowing that my patients are getting better and not just being shipped off to ICU or another hospital or whatever. Good morning, Nicole. Happy Yom Kippur if you celebrate, though I suppose if you're devoutly following, you won't be watching me here. Mirroring. So this and this was before I really understood. I did a lot of my own healing work, and I sort of just thought life was happening to me, and I felt very powerless. And so my tagline is empowering your journey. So I'm going to help empower you the way I've empowered myself. But I digress. This physician said to me, everything is just a mirror of you. And I thought, well, I don't want people to treat me like garbage. I thought, or I'm not garbage, right? Because when you think of a mirror, what is a mirror showing you? It's a reflection of yourself, or a reflection of an item. It's transposed, but it's a reflection. It's a direct reflection of the physical. But to me, what that idea has really solidified is not that it's reflecting who I am. It's reflecting what I believe of myself to be. So it's sort of going into the interior, the inside of it. Okay, so if it's reflecting my thoughts and my beliefs into the 3D world, other ways of thinking of this. There's a little screenwriter in your head. Think of a movie, right? The final product of a movie isn't like just happen. It started in someone's thoughts. They wrote them down on paper. Maybe they collaborated with another person. They got edited. They got feedback and everything else, and adjusted and readjusted. Well, what's the feedback? I write an affirmation. I come up with an idea of the thing that I want to happen. What's the feedback? How is it starting to unfold in the real world? Oh, well, maybe I like in a relationship, right? These are where your trial and errors of relationships come up. Maybe I thought I wanted someone who was financially stable, but I forgot to add that I wanted them to actually be present in the world and not just always working. That's how you make little tweaks and tips along the way of like things coming up wrong. That's your editing process, right? So, okay, so you have that. You have somebody writing in the thing, and then it's reflecting, it's showing up in the real world. And everybody is a part. The best person to play the part shows up to be that character, right? And you're the main character in your world. And you're the writer and the producer. And the universe just makes it happen. Well, how does that then, how am I not controlling other people? If I say like a specific person, how am I not controlling them? How does that work? Okay, so if we're all one, right? We're all part of the same being. It doesn't mean literally everybody is the same person. If you take a, we'll go to biology. When a sperm and an egg meet, the cells start to divide, right? And they're stem cells. So they all contain the same exact genetic DNA information, all of them. And they start to divide and divide. And then eventually they start to divide enough to specialize. So it doesn't mean that, oh, it's only this kind of cell. It means I have all of the genetic information to be any cell I want to be, but I'm going to flip the switches for a nose cell to show up or an eye cell. And they're even more specialized within each individual organ, but this is just to be general, right? But I still contain all of the information. I'm still a part of that original cell. I'm still a copy of that original cell and interconnected. So all of your cells grow and form. So it's kind of like us in the world, right? So we're all coming from a collective consciousness, and we're all divided out, and we all have our own interests, specializations of what we want to be. Now there's trillions of cells in your body, right? And so there's billions of skin cells. So maybe there's billions of people who want to specialize in, I don't know, whatever, monogamy. I don't know, pick it, whatever it is, want, you know what I mean? It's not really a choice, but that's their journey for this lifetime. Or maybe a lot of people want to be rich, right? So you have all of these people who want to be rich. It doesn't mean that your skin cells can't be those things, and they're interconnected, right? They still have all the same DNA. So, okay, so say that there's an injury that comes up. Your body sends out signals, your thoughts send out signals that something needs to come in and fix it. And all of the right things show up, right? I don't know, are you guys with me on this? I'm totally confusing the shit out of you. Give me an answer here. So it's sort of similar with the world. It's just on a mass scale versus on the trillions of cells in your body. Actually, more things are going on in your body really than the whole world if you think about it, because there's trillions rather than billions. So when you put a thought process out there, okay, so when you put a thought out there, it isn't that you're controlling someone else. It's that the universe goes, okay, this person in their subconscious consciousness, whatever, lines up to fit that bill. And this is what we need it to be. Well, your body, when it needs certain specific cells, it doesn't go, oh, I don't know. Is this not working I don't know if I should ask for the white cells to come and heal, the white blood cells to come and heal. I don't know if I should call in the antibodies to come in and fix things. Right? Hi, Micah. Right? No, it doesn't. It just does. So you shouldn't feel guilty about going, look, I want this experience, or I have this need. It needs to be filled. I'll just trust the universe to take care of it. I have this desire. I'm going to trust the universe to fill it, to take care of it. Your body doesn't go, is it too much to ask for some proteins to rebuild this muscle after it worked out? I don't know. Oh, this isn't really going to work for me. I'm not deserving of the protein to rebuild the muscle. No, it just goes, hello, body universe. We need this. This is our need. This is our desire. Let's make it happen. In the same token, what is a cancer cell? A cancer cell is a cell that something went rogue on it, and some activity of either overgrowing, because really it's like a lot of overgrowth, just going wild with think of it as a negative thought gone rogue, right? So it's or there's an error in the transmutation of it. I think I'm saying that right, and it continues to multiply. And you get cancer cells all the time in your body. It's not like you have them all the time, but your body goes, oh, we've got an error. We've got a problem here. It's aware of the problem, and the antibodies go in and they destroy it. All done. Why does it keep growing? Because the body misses it for some reason. So I think of that as sort of our thoughts when we're manifesting, right? Why do the tumorous, malignant thoughts keep growing? Because we don't go, wait, this isn't working. We need to stop that and fix it and reprogram it. We go, oh, let me just keep going on and on and on about it. And it grows and it continues to bring things into our life. Are you guys understanding this? If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, if you're unclear about something, please ask. That's what I'm here for. And I know that sometimes my brain doesn't, maybe I don't make things clear, and that's okay too. So this is the way I think of it, is like, if everybody is you pushed out, it isn't that they're an avatar of me and it's just little me is running around like robots or lemmings, right? It's that we're all interconnected through consciousness. And they are just like getting the signals of my thoughts and beliefs and going, oh, this is what she believes. This is what we're supposed to show her. All subconsciously, the universe is going, this is what she wants to be shown. We're going to show more of it. So I'm trying to think of a specific example. I should have written one down, right? Well, I mean, I said one the last time, right? So like the nurse is like talking to me and saying like, you're going to be a great wife, but a terrible mother. And the other one saying you're going to be a terrible mother. Wait, you're going to be a terrible wife, but a great mother. Because I had all of these fears inside of me that this was who I was going to be. Like I didn't have enough faith and belief in myself and confidence. Or that, we have limiting money beliefs, right? So people will keep showing up. Like, so say especially when you're working on shifting those beliefs and shifting the things. What's really interesting to me is when you've really gotten into changing a belief system, the universe will kind of go, do you really want this? Do you really want this shift? And they'll show you something that's opposite of what you want. And it's like, do you want to stay on the same path, or do you want to move into the new life you have? So you might have somebody show up, if you have limiting money beliefs, going, that's not possible for you to have that. And then that's where your mind, hi, Karen, that's where your mind kind of goes, do I step into the old me, or do I move into the new me? So it isn't that they're mirroring that you're a terrible person. The universe is going, oh, that's what you believe, and that's what you want, and that's what you're creating. Okay, we'll give you more of that. And you're not really controlling anyone, because here's the other thing. If you weren't meant to do what you're doing, if that wasn't part of your divine path and purpose, you wouldn't get the inspiration to do it. You wouldn't. It's just like your certain cells, for the most part, unless you see those weird teratomas and you can look those up on your own. But for the most part, the cells stay the way they're kind of initially created, and then they, do what they're supposed to do. Yeah, Rose said, whenever my daughter thinks something is going wrong, I say flip the script, not to shut her down, but to have her think differently. I do that with my kids too, where I'm like, okay, so what do I always say about manifesting? Especially with my middle one, because she's the most, like she puts it into practice. My oldest one is kind of like, I don't want to deal with that, Mom. I hope eventually she will. But my middle one's like, oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. And it helps to reset her until she, I hope that what it does is create for her a pattern where in her own life, she'll start to see and become more of an observer of how things are popping up. And rather than reacting emotionally, she'll go, oh, I don't really want more of that. So how do I flip that? How do I change it? That's sort of the way I approach manifesting. I used to do it as like sort of a victim and powerless, where I was like, oh my God, why does this all keep happening? Why do I keep having the same relationships? Why do I keep attracting the same people into my life? Or why do I always have a hard time interconnecting with people, or blah, blah, blah? Or why do I always feel like I'm butting up against, mine was always like relationship stuff, people and things like that. Or like I had limited money beliefs. And I was more of a victim to the universe, right? It was just like a pinball being bounced around from here to there. And then I realized like, oh no. And the thing is the universe kept reminding me in a whole bunch of different ways. This doctor that I worked with made a comment about it. And it was sort of being introduced little by little, and that's what I love about the universe, is it will introduce you to ways to do things better. Are you willing to listen? Good morning, Basement Awakens. You know what? I've been thinking about you lately, so I'm glad you showed up. You kind of pop into my head occasionally, and I don't know why, but you do. I'm thinking about just the way the world works and people interconnecting, and so welcome. So I stopped when you start to look at manifesting and really dig into it and dig into the idea that everyone is you pushed out, which means everybody is reflecting your own beliefs on the inside. And like the universe is just gifting you the things that you believe, not necessarily the things you desire in the idea of lack, right? So they're like, oh, I just want people to be nice to me. Why do people treat me crappy? Like they just reflect to you that like, I don't feel valuable. I don't feel worthy. I don't respect myself. The universe goes, oh, here, let me bring you all these events and people that'll show up and play those parts perfectly. Does it mean those people are evil? No, they're just the perfect person to play the part. They've got that character down pat, right? Can they change and grow? Yes, absolutely. Anyway, so the universe kept showing me like one guy who I don't agree with on a lot of his belief systems around the world. He happened to mention Florence Scovel Shinn to me, and she does the I am stuff. And she was born in 1871, I believe, which is before Neville Goddard. She was she independently published her own book, The Game of Life and How to Play It. She's a fascinating human being, and I don't know why I don't push her more, because lady power, right? So I digress. Bring me back to zero. So I ran around victimless or feeling like the victim, like life was just happening. And then when I really started digging in, and I mean really digging into this, and like I said, I've been studying for 20 years, but I really started digging in a year and a half, 2 years ago. Maybe even a little bit more, but I've been really focusing. I guess the pandemic kind of forced me to kind of look at it, spending so much quiet time. I started to become the observer of things, just like I am when I get psychic information, right? So when I get psychic information, I don't automatically go, oh my God, why do I feel terrible in my stomach? I'm like, all right, who's got the stomach ache around me? Like I become like less emotionally connected to it. And I just sort of observe. Well, I've been doing that with interactions with people. Number one, I find myself, it's not a struggle to stay calm. It's like, oh, okay, well, what am I doing? Or what are my thoughts that this would come up? Why would someone react that way? What's my core belief that would make me feel like that needed to show up, right? So someone being disrespectful, or someone saying, like, oh, having girls is terrible. What are my core beliefs and where did that come from? So instead of going like, that's a terrible thing to say, it was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, what's going on for you and what's going on for me? Because again, I think it is also not only a reflection of you, it's also a reflection of what's inside of them. They're the perfect person to show up to play the part, right? So why now? Oh, I was talking about inspired movement. So not everybody wants to be super duper rich. Not everybody wants to live in the middle of Manhattan. Not everybody wants to live in rural, United States. It's there because that's like kind of the role you wanted to play in life before you came down here. That's how we create a chart, or we create a path for our journey before we even incarnate, come down here. Right? So if it was meant for you to have that part, you'd be inspired to do it. So when people are like, oh, you can't have a specific person, you can't, like, that's messing with their free will. No, it's not. Because if you weren't meant to have that inspiration, it wouldn't even cross your mind to come up with it. The universe, the divine connections to all that is, wouldn't even ask you to like, wouldn't even insert that as a idea for creation. I have zero desire to ever, it's not that I can't understand finance or all of the monetary stuff. I have zero desire. Like, I'm pretty good at math, but it just doesn't, it's like not even, but there's people who are like, oh my God, I could do this. And they are like constantly thinking Bitcoin, hello. I have zero desire to do anything with being an actress or being, because like to me, that's not where my wheelhouse is. Or to be, I didn't want to be a doctor. I had this conversation with it. I wanted to be a doctor when I was 6, but once I really got into it, I really liked the idea of being a nurse. I really liked being more connected with the patient. Doctors don't get to spend a lot of time at the bedside. They're doing something else, but I like being a bedside nurse. Like I said, I didn't like being in the ER. That was not my thing. I don't know that I'd like being a surgical nurse. Again, you don't get to interact with the people. But I had a talk with a resident one time because she gave me a verbal order. And you're required to go in and put received as a verbal order and write the order. So you'd write whatever the order was. It was for a feeding. And I wrote verbal order, doctor, or whatever the hell her name was. And then they rounded and she scratched it out. She literally X'd out, first of all, it's a legal document. And I reamed into her and I said, I wrote down, I was like, that was a legal document. You gave me a legal order. She goes, if I say this is a verbal, it only happens if I say this is a verbal order. I said, no, can I do this? You said, yes, you can do that. That is a verbal order. And I said, I didn't not become a doctor because I wasn't smart enough. I became a nurse because this is what I wanted. Like not everybody wants to do the same thing. Not everybody has the same desire. So stop thinking not every cell has the same purpose in your body. Okay. That's where that comes into play. We're all meant to do a certain different thing or meant to whatever, follow our own, like we set a path that we want to follow and things that we want to learn when we come down here. So if you're inspired to manifest a certain person, or you're inspired, it's no different than being inspired to manifest a certain job, no matter how like out there it seems. Like look at MIT is really hard to get into. Harvard is hard to get into. There's this small amount of people that would get in there. And it's even smaller for the people that aren't born into a financial ability to just be able to go there. But they have a desire, they got it planted within them, an inspiration to follow that path, and they let nothing stop them. They persisted against all odds, against all the people that said, that's not possible, you're crazy, your head is in the clouds, blah, 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 blah. So I manifested a nurse for my mom, and she's oh, yay, congratulations. Is she helping with the physical therapy? So when you're focusing on all of these things and you're thinking that, is this a reasonable request? Oh, I must be messing with somebody else's, stuff if I'm trying to control them. You're not. The universe will make things show up. And again, if it wasn't a possibility for that thing to be manifested, the inspiration would not come to you. How do you know it's an inspired thought, an inspired desire, an inspired feeling? It feels good. It feels calm. It feels comforting. It's a knowing. It's not panic-induced, fear-driven, all the negative stuff you can think of. That's the same thing with your intuition. All of this stuff is interconnected. So when people go, oh, you don't need to go to psychics. No, but we've figured out how to listen to our intuition. We've figured out how to tap into source, all that is consciousness. Whether you call it being a psychic, whether someone calls it being faithful, devoted, I talked to God, God spoke to me, all of that stuff. And all of that is calm, knowing information. It isn't fear-driven, anxiety-based stuff. What do you think is the best way to get rid of negative thoughts? Meditate. So look at where your negative thoughts are coming from. So give me an example of what's something that you have a hard time readdressing. And that comes from, this is where I like personally for me, I feel, so once we find root, that's cause negative, then okay. So to me, once you know understand where the source of it is, it's like, "Oh, get rid of that." It's like with the disease, like, so if you get sick and you go to the doctor and you're like, "I'm sneezing, I'm coughing, I'm this," and they just start throwing medicine at you, they're covering up the symptom, they're not finding the root cause of it. So you can reprogram, and I think that's great. But if you don't understand the root cause of something, then societal beliefs can creep back in. So then you're constantly reprogramming and reaffirming and reaffirming. And you can do that all day long, and that's totally fine. And it works. You persist until it shows up. I prefer not to do that. I prefer to like, and this is sort of like, I was like, I annoyed people in medicine too, because I'd be like, wait a minute. Let's look at this. And I got told a lot, you're thinking too much, or like, I'm just like, nah. Um, so I like finding the root cause of things. So I know that I had a messed up confidence. I know that I had a self worth and a value issue for a very, very, very long time. But I didn't really fully stop to ever look at where it came from and why I had it, and how that it was not only my family stuff that came up in the way I was raised. It was also I come from a pretty fucking toxic family. So like, cheers to that. You guys can relate sometimes. So there's society stuff that gets interwoven there, that collective beliefs that get interwoven again, like especially with women. It's like, oh, having all girls is terrible, women are so dramatic, they're catty, they're bitchy, blah 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 blah. But men get it too, right? All men are dicks, like all men cheat, like men get their own collective beliefs heaped upon them. And then there's a ton of collective beliefs that need to be just fucking shattered, as far as I'm concerned. Anyhow, if you don't understand the root of that, then every time you hear it, it might drop you back into the belief of that, instead of just being like, yeah, wave that off as to like stuff that's not functioning anymore. Okay. So fear is that cognitive dissonance, trying to stay in this old belief system that you have, because it's, no matter how toxic it is, you all know somebody who, no matter how shitty their situation is, they're more afraid of change than they are of sitting in the shit. Like they're more comfortable sitting in all of that than they are of, like, it's scarier to them to try and change, because what does that mean? What am I going to be like? How is this going to affect me? A lot of people are like that who are an addictive. I've talked to a lot of people who have alcohol issues, and it's not necessarily that they're in denial that they drink a lot. It's more about like, I don't know how to visualize my life without this. I don't know how to deal with life without this. And so when you keep having relationship patterns over and over, it's not necessarily that you want that dysfunction. It's just you can't figure out how to get from point A to point B. That's where the fear comes in. It's hard for you to imagine outside of that, right? So Rockdown, so let's say you mentioned something the other day about managers, right? And we talked about, this was your really, they're reflecting to you about how you believe you are, because maybe that manager isn't a dickhead to everybody, they just happen to be a dickhead to a few people, right? So this isn't for kids. So if they're showing up with that personality to you every time, instead of being like, this is so terrible, this is the worst, say, okay, so what is this showing me? So that's my first step, is I always kind of look at it like that. And then I go, okay, well, let me look at, okay, so I don't feel valuable or worthy, or I don't feel like my voice matters. I don't feel like my opinions or my ideas are good enough. So that guy's going to keep reflecting to me that, like, oh, sit down, you don't have much to say, you just need to follow the rules. So I'm going to reaffirm in my head, my opinions matter. My voice matters. I have great ideas. People love showing up and listening to me, because I have great ideas and my voice matters and I've got something good to say. I am valuable. I am worthy. I'm smart. I am kind. You can be empathetic and kind and still share your ideas, right? So you show up that when you reaffirm, you can do the self-concept stuff, but this is in the moment. This is what you do. The self-confident concept sleep affirmations. Another thing I realized why, because I was sitting there writing my affirmations today and kind of writing stuff down, and my guides were saying, and I was actually writing down a whole bunch of Florence Scovel Shinn quotes, and my guides were like, why this sticks with you and why this reprograms you so well. And I thought, and they're like, because you're immersed. You're immersed in your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, and you're doing it all at once, right? So I'm writing. So I'm feeling the pen, I'm hearing the sound of the ink on the paper, I'm thinking, I'm seeing, I'm fully immersed. The only thing I'm not doing is maybe smelling and tasting. I don't know, I guess you could, if you're really super sensitive to smell, you might smell something, I don't know. But I'm like fully immersed into like putting this information into my head. It becomes meditative in a way. I become present in the moment. So you can do meditation, but if you still feel like you're lost in what meditation is, then is that really helping you? It's helping you in the sense that it's calming the nervous system for you, but is it helping you reaffirm things? And is it helping you reaffirm your self-concept and your visualization? You do not have to have an emotion attached to creating. You don't. You don't have to sit there and think, am I in the right vibration? Being in alignment means I have this belief towards the thing that I want and nothing is going to veer me for it. So the thing that I want to feel good about myself. I want to have a good self-concept. I want to be confident. So then I just start over and over in my head. You can you can listen to it. But the reason why the affirmations at night, listen to it, is because you can push through the cognitive dissonance a little bit easier. You still have to get over the first 7 to 10 days of your body subconsciously knocking things off and not wanting to listen to it, but you have to sleep, right? You have to sleep. If you're persistent in your waking state, when those feelings are coming up, it's not bad if you notice something that doesn't sit well with you. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means the universe is going, you still have a little refinement that needs to happen. You got to sand it a little bit more. There's still a splinter showing up in the wood. No, a soul contract doesn't interfere with your manifestations, because here's the thing that goes again with the you wouldn't be inspired to do something and if it wasn't meant for you. So those people show up to play the parts. So think about that. All of these spiritual ideas that we hear, they aren't necessarily separate. The same thing with the twin flame and the soulmates thing. If you want to believe in twin flames, go for it. Create that dysfunction, but you can have that push and pull and dysfunction with anybody else and not think that it has to be one person. You'll still learn from it. You'll still awaken. If you're meant to awaken and do all of this and understand the bigger picture of the world, and as Florence Scovel Shinn, the game of life and how you play it, she said, if you sit there and you say, I've got these great quotes I wrote down from her. Most people consider life a battle, but it's not a battle. It's a game. It's a game. Even I had this dream. And the end of the dream was I freed this, it showed up as this really beautiful kind of bird with these beautiful colors. And it ended up morphing into this tiny little dragon. And it was on top of a fireplace mantle. And I ended up putting these ropes around it, for the red carpet, those ropes that they put around. And I ended up protecting this dragon from, I don't know. and then I got this fairy thing came and shoved this gift into me because I did this thing, shoved this gift into me. And then the way my guide showed it to me was really funny. I had this magic power where I could just go through life and do whatever, when you play the old Zelda games and you got some kind of, when I'm saying Nintendo, so it was this really pixelated little version of a person going around that was untouchable. What are they? I don't remember what you call it in games anymore, but sparkling and stuff. And I was like, oh, that was me. They were like, we're giving you this now, whatever, this gift now. That's sort of what it's like. It's a game. It is a game. If you stop looking at it as like, oh, I'm trudging through this terrible thing, stop being the victim and become empowered. No one can do the work for you. I watch those people, I do energy healing, but ultimately it's up to you to accept and receive it. It's ultimately up to you to decide to bring things in. When people want to go to somebody and they go, well, just tell me, just make it be gone, fix it. Well, I can't. Like, that's part of the thing is you, if I give you the tools, you can do so much more with it. When I do the psychic development, it's not like I'm magically making somebody fully connected in. I'm giving them tools to understand how to then further develop their intuition, further develop their connection, their language, right? Another one she said, I like this one. Hey, let me find it. Oh my God, there's just so many of them. So, you will be a failure until you impress the subconscious with the conviction you are a success. This is done by making an affirmation with, I don't know what I wrote here. Oh, by making an affirmation which clicks. So it isn't that there's one magical affirmation, it's make one that clicks for you to heal it and make it work. Whenever you guys ask, and I see it on other channels, like, what's the perfect thing for this? It's like, there is no perfect one. It's what makes the most sense to you. There is no perfect style of creating your own life and manifesting. It's what makes the most sense to you. What's going to fit the best, that's going to move you through your journey easier. So take the pressure off on like, oh my God, I'm not doing it right. There is no right way. It's just whatever's the best way for you, and then go with it. And don't worry about if, well, all these people say this and all these people, like, just find what works for you and go with it. That's sort of what I'm sharing with you, different ideas and like why my brain works the way it works. Rose, did the soul contract thing make sense when I said that? That it's like, if you have a soul contract, they sort of fit into your story and play the part. And then when they no longer fit, everything, it exits. What's another quote? And then I'm going to bounce off of here because I've got to go pick up a little one. Every great work, every big vision has been brought into manifestation through holding to the vision. And often just before the big achievement comes an apparent failure and discouragement. And I talked about that. Sometimes you'll see that it'll pop up where it's like, I had a nursing professor say to me, because I was struggling with, I never really had great study skills, and I was struggling with remembering the flow of the heart and all of that stuff. And it just wasn't like, I really just needed to go into rote memorization. And it wasn't like, for whatever reason, I wasn't, whatever. She's like, maybe you shouldn't be a nurse. And in my head, I was like, fuck that noise. I'm going to prove you wrong. I tend to like do really well when I hear, like, even when I've gotten readings from people and they think like, or people that I know, and they're like, well, why are you asking if you're just tell me I'm wrong? And it's like, it's not that I'm really telling you that you're wrong. It's that you needed to say it that way for me. And I trust the universe in this, for me to go, fuck that noise. I'm doing it my way. Like, that's not my story. I'm flipping it. I'm not going to hear it that way. And I encourage you to do that instead of thinking, oh, that person's saying that about me, it must be true. Well, it's not. It's a belief you hold. It's, not anyone ever sees you exactly the same as anyone else, right? So what I mean by that is, if I were to ask 10 people that you had interactions with, including your boss, your mother, your spouse, your significant other, whatever, if I were to include your best friend and ask them how they saw you, they would all give me a different description. because you share a different connection with each one of those people. You show a different part of yourself. A different belief system shows up there. And remember, it's not only the negative stuff that's being reflected to you, it's the good stuff too. So when you see something in somebody that you really love or a behavior that you really love, that is a reflection of your own belief system. So it doesn't have to be just the negative. It's just you discount it because it's already a really good positive belief system you hold. And so there's just no way. You know, it's the negative is always easier to believe, right? I don't know why. It just is. It's powerful. The universe does bring you what's needed. It totally does. I love all of the synchronicities that show up. One thing that I put into an affirmation lately was like seeing people for who they really are, because I tend to see only the good. And so I want to make sure that I'm not missing something, that I'm seeing red flags in people. And let me tell you, I have seen some things from family members lately where I'm like, holy moly. like that's where all my crappy belief systems, that's where all of that stuff came from. Now, do I recognize that they're under the same veil of, I don't know, garbage? Yeah. And I don't want to demonize them for it, but I also am like done with that behavior. And it's not my job to rescue. Like, I don't believe in the proselytizing that some Christians believe, where it's like you have to go out and change everybody. I don't believe in that. I think I will live my life and I will show who my character is, and I will live by my word and my beliefs, and I will be an example, and that's my goal. Anyhow, thank you all for joining me. I know this was a little bit longer than I had intended. I hope that it made sense. I hope that you go and create an amazing life for yourself and recognize how powerful and amazing you are. And it's not just one or two of you, it's each and every one of you. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll do another chat tomorrow. Bye.